Have you ever wondered why the American flag and the Liberian flag looked so similar? That's because Liberia was formed by the American Colonization Society, a group of white elite Americans who sent a group of freed American slaves to the city of Monrovia. This was the first city in Liberia named Monrovia, named after US President James Monroe, also known as America Place by the locals. If you are wondering where Liberia is, it's on the complete western end of Africa, over here, right next to Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Cote d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast. This is Monrovia over there. The first president of Liberia was Joseph Jenkins Roberts, who was a freed slave. He was born in Petersburg in 1809 and he died in February 1876. He was president of Liberia between 1848 and 1856 and then again in 1872 and 1876. In case you're wondering why he looks a little colored, that's because his mother is a mulatto. A mulatto. A mulatto is an outdated and often offensive term used to describe a person of mixed European and African ancestry. Like me, a mulatto. It's generally considered a derogatory term due to its historical association with slavery and racial hierarchy. While it may be used to describe a mixed race individual, many people find the term offensive. So colored. I don't find it offensive. When come mulatto, go ahead. Mulatto gelato. What were the actual purposes of the ACS sending the black freed slaves to Liberia? Well, let's have a look. They said they were helping freed black people find freedom and spread Christianity in Africa, create a safe, self-governed homeland, and a humanitarian mission. How noble. What they actually were doing was removing free blacks from US society, prevent slave revolts and preserve white power, ease white anxiety and racial tension, delay abolition and maintain racial hierarchy. How were the new settlers treated by the indigenous people? Talk about the initial contact and power dynamics when the settlers arrived. The settlers arrived starting in 1822. Liberia was already home to numerous ethnic groups, including the Kepele, Bassa, Kru, Gola, Vai, and others. Indigenous people had their own social systems, trade networks, and spiritual traditions. Rather than integrating, the settlers often viewed themselves as culturally and religiously superior, influenced by Western values and education. How were the settlers treated upon their arrival? The first thing the settlers did was establish a colonial-style rule. The Americo-Liberians set up a government modeled after the United States, which excluded the majority indigenous population from political participation. They established a class-based society, placing themselves at the top, mirroring the very hierarchy they had escaped from in the United States. The settlers claimed coastal land and forced many indigenous communities to relocate or submit to their rule. Indigenous people were sometimes taxed, coerced into labor, or subjected to military control if they resisted. Americo-Liberians tried to civilize indigenous people by imposing Christianity, Western dress, and English language. Traditional religions, practices, and leadership structures were often dismissed or undermined. This resulted in tensions, of course. A deep social divide formed between the Americo-Liberians and the indigenous groups. This tension persisted for over a century, leading to cycles of discrimination, resentment, and revolt. By the time of the 1983 military coup led by Samuel Doe, an indigenous leader, Liberia's elite class was still mostly Americo-Liberian despite being a small fraction of the population. This is a picture of President William Talbot, the president of Liberia in 1978, and President Jimmy Carter of the United States, who was visiting at the time. As you can see, they were very friendly with the United States. In April of 1980, there was a military coup led by Samuel Doe in the city of Monrovia at the Executive Mansion. The Executive Mansion is something like the White House in Liberia. It's the place where the president resides and manages the country. Over here is William Talbot, the 20th president of Liberia, who was assassinated in 1980. So that was the story of Liberia, so you can get to know Africa a little bit better. And this is the city of Monrovia, currently behind me. Cheers.